Hey y'all, it's me again. How's everybody doing so far? Hey, Miss Michelle, Amber K, The Truth. Hey there, husband. What's up?
Hey,
How goes it? Ooh, what picture you got? Is that Bella?
that's Bella.
Bella babies.
That's the best I could do right now.
It's still cute. She needs a haircut, but it's cute. Hey, Sonia.
No, I get weird about editing the picture and cropping it. It wouldn't let me crop it the way I wanted to, so it'll do. It'll work.
Yeah. So there's a lot of chatter about what a real sponsorship is, what sponsors do, what they shouldn't do, what they're trained to do or not to do, which is so funny. Hey Callie. Um, First I want to start out with Laura. You lost the right to talk about recovery when you told someone to stick a needle in their arm and die. So, with that being said, I hope nobody ever listens to her when she talks about recovery. So, there's that. Then, I would also like to talk about Kratom. What I want to say is if there is somebody that's struggling with an addiction, let's just throw something out there. Let's say somebody has an opiate addiction, right? A counselor or a sponsor has every right to suggest something that is legal. Kratom is legal, and Kratom can help with withdrawals. What's the difference from Kratom and Suboxone? What's the difference from Kratom and methadone when it comes to substituting a illegal street drug to something that's legal? Somebody please explain that to me. I need to know. Brandon, can you enlighten me on that at all? Hey, Sunny Side Up. Hey,
What the
Chris.
difference between something that's
Okay, say that you're sponsoring someone and they are having a difficult time staying sober, but they can't maybe go and get Suboxone or methadone or what have you. Would you suggest Kratom?
absolutely,
Yeah.
of course. I,
Hey, thank you, next. Good to see you. Hey, Becky Boo.
I think people just don't know what they're talking about in terms of how to help an opiate addict. So they just kind of go off what sounds either controversial to try to get clicks, or they just say whatever that they think would line up with what other people think. Because yeah, it's a controversial methadone and Suboxone are a controversial topic.
Oh, absolutely.
When trying to talk to people about what meds people should be on and this and that, when you add something that's not necessarily FDA regulated, people freak out. People have been experimenting with different medications for opiate withdrawal for a long time, supplements and different therapies and you name it. A few years ago, there was a big push to start using certain types of blood pressure medication to help with opiate withdrawal, or to help people once they've gotten off opiates to continue a certain type of blood pressure medication to help them until they get their brain kind of gets readjusted. Once you get off opiates, you got like a good 30 days before you're even going to start making sense. Your
Right.
brain's just mush. So that's a tough one. But yeah, I mean, I would suggest anything that's going to help the person um, to get them away from the street drug.
Callie, yes, I am actually still on clonidine to this day.
Yeah, I took clonidine last night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
I've never taken it. Now, I've never taken it for opiate withdrawal or any of that. I just it has a lot to do with my blood pressures and where they jump. But the guy who prescribed it, that was one of his things, was prescribing it to people who were in opiate withdrawal, or they, like I said, had gotten past the withdrawal and were trying to find some level of stability.
mhm.
But yeah, I had never heard of that medication until he told me about it. I'd never had heard of any relationship between blood pressure and opiate withdrawal until someone explained it to me. There's a lot of different, and then there are people that need to be detoxed or need to be on opiates for an extended period of time because of their body. You can't take opiates away completely because of the effect it would have on their functioning.
Christy
So
says, why is THC any different than kratom? Honestly, I don't think there is. I mean, they're two different, what's the word?
compounds, chemical
Yeah,
compounds.
yeah. But I mean, if it helps, it helps. And it's legal. I get trashed all the time because I do smoke marijuana. I don't consider it a drug. People tell me that I'm not in recovery because I smoke marijuana. So, what does that even mean? Does that mean I'm not in recovery because I found a niche that helps me stay sober from a drug that used to cause me a lot of problems, that made me lose years of my life? There's a good 10 years I don't really remember. And I'm grateful for marijuana because it helps me not want to have any cravings for Xanax. And that's not Brandon's story. Like, he will not do any type of drug at all.
Yeah, I'm a little different in that. Well, I mean, I haven't really had the option. Like, no one said to me, other than CBD, you got to, 6 months, what was like a year ago, everybody was like, oh my God, you got to try CBD. And I did.
Mhm.
I didn't think it did anything other than make me kind of like sleepy. I felt no like lower back pain. It didn't really seem to help. Now I only tried the drops. I know there's other ways to take CBD. I just haven't done it. But if we're talking about actual THC, um, I just haven't had the option, and B, I don't feel like it's something I need right now. If I felt like, hey, I'm jacked up, I've got this and that issue, and THC is working for my wife, it's working for all these other people, I would try it. I'm not afraid to say that. I had to learn a long time ago that Brandon is not actually a doctor, and
You're
Brandon is
not?
not actually. I know it's shocking, and
You
not
told
actually
whole time you're a
capable.
doctor.
Well, I play one on YouTube sometimes, but in real life, IRL, I'm not actually a pharmacist. I'm
Hmm?
not actually capable, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, you name it, of deciding what medications are best for me. I'm just not. I need to leave that up to a doctor. Now, I do know when to say, like, Sarah's been with me when I've had surgery, and I'll tell a doctor, hey, I don't want to come home on a bunch of pain meds. I just don't feel like I need it, and I don't feel like it's safe for my household to just have a bottle of pills sitting there. You know, it's one of those things. Everybody's different, and really, I got to leave stuff up to the doctors. Now, in that situation, yeah, I'm kind of taking the power out of their hands, but it's for a greater good in my mind. But in terms of THC or kratom, I just haven't been offered. Like, my doctor has never said to me, "Do you think you need these things?" And like I said, if I felt like I need them, I would be talking to my doctor about it. So,
So my supposed alt account is in here saying, I'll be honest, Sarah, I'm ignorant to drugs and I've always felt marijuana was like a gateway drug and didn't understand why addicts would use. I admit I need education. And I think that, it varies with certain people. I think a lot of people are programmed to believe that marijuana is a gateway drug, but that's only my perception. I don't know. I guess I kind of did start out smoking marijuana as a kid, but I never got hooked on marijuana, or I was never dependent to marijuana. What's your thoughts?
in terms of a gateway drug, yeah, it probably was for me, but I think I would have had marijuana not been in the picture, I still would have progressed into stronger drugs. I
Yeah.
think that the big the big deal there is that, and a lot of my friends that I grew up with that had issues with painkillers or heroin, a lot of them these days, they smoke really strong marijuana. That's what they do. It works for them. They're not out breaking into people's houses. They're not going to prison. They're not losing their kids. That's just what chemical compound they use to get through the day. It seems to work for them. You could say that, oh, they replaced opiates with marijuana. I don't really look at marijuana as a drug in that sense, to where I could say Yeah, it's just addiction replacement. I don't believe that personally. I believe they've found something that works for them, that keeps them out of trouble, that keeps them away from doing the stuff they used to, and that maybe does help with depression. Maybe it does help with lower back pain, aches, muscle aches, those kind of things. Marijuana is one of the very few plants that has so many benefits. It's like there's just not a lot of plants out there that do all of that. And on top of that, if a person's looking for a little euphoria after a hard day of work, they just want to feel good and kind of laugh. If that's what works for them, so be it. I'm the type of person, I'm not here to tell anyone what they should or shouldn't take or do.
No, but we have experiences with certain things.
No, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I don't want to see anyone shooting dope or smoking crack. I don't. But for some people, that has to be a part of their life so they can get to the next stage of their experience, their walk with a higher power, their journey, whatever. Not everybody survives. But for some people, that had to be a part of their story. It had to be a part of mine. I don't know why.
And I'll never judge anybody for taking Suboxone. I'll never judge anyone for taking Kratom, because I've taken those medications and they helped save me. They helped me not be on the street stealing just to get 3 caps of dope. You know what I mean? So I find it kind of harsh when people say that if a counselor suggests someone taking Kratom, that's just awful. God forbid.
Why are they saying that? I don't understand.
Oh, Lord, it's a long story, but it's an ignorant comment to make. Sure. Because you have been a counselor and you have been a sponsor for many years.
True.
Now, I know there's people digging into my life at the moment, and I would like to say that, yes, Brandon was a counselor. He was a counselor for many years. Then he met me, and we got married. He lost his credentials for a while. That's no secret. We've been on here, and we've talked about it before. Love matters.
I do it all over again tomorrow.
Yeah.
I do it the same.
Yeah, you can look on there and see that he met a client, married client.
And I told them that when they asked me.
Yeah.
I had every option to say, I don't know what you're talking about.
Right.
And, they would have had to decide if they wanted to investigate further. But no, I just told them the truth. And like I said, I would do it all over again tomorrow. For the life I have today, there's no comparison. It's just one of those things that
I feel like I am sober today because of the knowledge you have shared with me, the life experiences you have shared with me.
Well, and I appreciate
that. I'd be sober without that, Brandon. And so I'd like to talk about, people saying that when you, go into AA or start going to AA meetings, that sponsors are trained to only stick with their, what's the word am I looking for? That a man shouldn't sponsor a woman and a man shouldn't sponsor a man. That's not true anymore. Maybe back in the olden days that was true, but that's not necessarily the case anymore. Yeah, they might frown upon it a little because maybe one gender might have ulterior motives, because somebody coming into AA or recovery might be vulnerable. But it's okay if people do that. At least they are getting help. At least they are,
trying.
Yeah.
Once again, hugely controversial topic.
It is.
It's been talked about for years. It'll continue to be talked about long after we're gone. It's just one of those things that makes people uncomfortable. The truth is, and first of all, I've never been to sponsor training, so if that's a real thing, can you let me know? I'd love to go. I probably need it. The fact of the matter is, if you look in the literature in terms of what's written down, there is nothing in there that says a man can't sponsor a woman can't sponsor a man.
Right.
If I'm talking to someone who's brand new, walking out of treatment, walking out of jail or prison, or they just showed up and they're trying to get sober, I would first suggest that, they try to find their own gender. If they came to me a week later and said, hey, this lady over here is really sharing some stuff that I like, and it's really making sense to me. Should I even try to get? I would say go for it. Whatever's going to help that person get to the next point in their sobriety, recovery, whatever, has to work. In the past, when I've said men sponsor the men and women sponsor the women, I'm talking about when we're talking to someone that's brand new. There are plenty of relationships in my city of a man sponsoring a woman sponsoring a man, that have been working for 20, 30 years. And there are people, I've got a friend, somebody I used to drink with. She came to AA. She had sponsors, women sponsors here and there, and nothing seemed to work out. There was an older guy in AA
Of
who
course,
she really liked what he shared, and that was her sponsor up until the day he died. He sponsored her for 6, 7 years. I don't know who her sponsor is now. I haven't seen her in a while, but one of those things. She felt like this guy was sharing her story. She felt like this guy was sharing something that she wanted and needed in her life. And when she went and got him as a sponsor, and they started doing the work of the 12 steps, she knew right away she was doing the right thing.
Yeah, and that's what matters at the end of the day. Look, in Oregon, all drugs are becoming legal. It's going to become a scary place. So I don't think it really matters if it's a man or a woman helping you, because there's going to be a lot of people out there that's going to need help. I just don't see someone being so picky to say, well, I can't have this person as my sponsor because it's a man or it's a woman. You know what? Brandon sponsored me basically when we first started our relationship. I kept flying out the treatment center doors, you know, and I wasn't comfortable enough yet to go and talk about my story to people. I didn't understand the AA world. I didn't get it yet, you know, so he did help me with what he knew. Yeah. And it helped me for 6 years.
I'd do it all over again tomorrow. I mean, it's just one of those things. I mean, and one thing, I got to add this because it's important. I forget to say it all the time. When we say that men should sponsor men and women should sponsor women, we are completely discrediting an entire community of people that are gay or lesbian. That is a huge, the recovery community has a very big, I've got a lot of friends that are gay. I don't have a bunch of friends that are lesbian, but I know quite a few that are big names in recovery.
Sean, he's gay.
Yeah,
he
perfect.
Yeah,
no, that's a perfect example. Like, at times in their lives, they have had opposite sex sponsors because that's what they need.
Right.
At that time in their life, it is not healthy for them to be sponsored by another man at that time in their life, or woman.
Girl. I shouldn't have mentioned his name, and I'm sorry about that. I wasn't thinking. I apologize.
Oh, you didn't. You didn't say his last name. It's all good. It's fine. You didn't break his anonymity, and I don't think he would care anyway. But I'm just saying that.
No, he climbed up the ladder, and he's big time now.
Oh, I know. He's doing the deal. It's incredible, but it's one of them things.
I want to talk about. Oh, can you hear me now? Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay. The cord came out for a second. I seen a comment where someone said, if you're looking for a sponsor online, you need to just stop right there, because you're not going to find anybody online that's going to be a good sponsor. Okay, let me explain this to you. We are in a pandemic. There's a lot of places like AA and NA that are closed down that you can only do online. You can only go to a meeting online. So help me define that. Help explain to me why it's a bad idea to find a sponsor online.
Now's the prime time to do that, right? Now is the time when that's going on, especially. A lot of people don't know where to turn. And you've got just as many people getting sober, getting clean because of the quarantine, because they're not out running around. They're taking a serious look at their life, and they're trying to stop. They're trying to put a cork in the bottle. They're trying to stop eating pills, whatever. There's a lot of people going to meetings online right now.
I don't want recognition for helping anybody, but I have helped a few people, and I've talked to them behind the scenes. And It's a great feeling to know that you can actually help someone. And I can't stand for people to try to discredit someone just because they're on YouTube. Well, they're on YouTube, so they surely couldn't be a sponsor, or they surely couldn't do this or do that.
It just sounds like a lot of people don't know what sponsorship actually is. It's just what it sounds like. I haven't heard these. I've just heard what you told me.
Yeah.
So I don't know what's actually being said other than the headlines that you're giving me. And it just sounds like people are kind of confused on what sponsorship is, how it works, what it means. And I could be wrong. They might know everything they're talking about.
Okay, so
But
when you do sponsorship, what do you do?
the first thing I do is I take the newcomer, and usually either we'll meet at a meeting early. If they can't pull that off, we'll go get coffee somewhere. I try to do it as soon as possible, as soon as they ask me to sponsor them. The first thing I do is I explain all 12 steps to them. I go through each step, or I tell them, I said, look, I'm going to talk for about 15 or 20 minutes. I need you just to listen, and then we're going to make some decisions on your program. And I tell them all 12 steps, what's going to be asked of them in those steps. And I ask them if they actually want to do that. Like, are they sure that's what they want to do? Because it's going to take some work. It's going to take some writing, some prayers. I do that. I'm not really trying to vet people as much as I'm just trying to give them some hope and let them know, like, hey, if we can make it to step 12, you're going to be a different person.
Yeah.
You're going to feel better. All these good things are coming to you. It's just we have to start at 1, go to 2, go. We have to do them in order. I also suggest that they start trying to hit a meeting every single day if they can. Right now is a little different. I just tell right now, I'm not sponsoring anyone brand new right now, but if I did, I would just tell them that they need to call me every single day, no matter what. Obviously, call me if, their life's on fire. Call me. And start building a network, start getting phone numbers of other people in recovery, or start getting contacts online of people in recovery that they can call, that they can text when they feel like drinking or using. And I always tell people, if you feel like you're going to drink or use, I will come get you. 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning, doesn't matter. My birthday, your birthday, Christmas Day, doesn't matter. Because that could save a life. Not that I'm going to save their life. I'm just going to be the person in the car saying, hey, you don't got to do this. Let's go get coffee. Let's go to a meeting, whatever.
I learned something so valuable being a sponsor. One day I was having the worst day of my life. Like, it was completely awful. Everything was falling apart in my mind, right? And so a sponsee calls me up and was like explaining some things. And after I was able to help her and I got off the phone with her, I was able to think, wow, it's really not all about me. My life isn't as bad as others. And I don't know.
You got out of yourself.
Yeah.
You went to help. You know, one of the sort of, I don't know, like an exercise you can do for people in recovery is take a whole day and go do stuff for other people. Don't do anything for yourself. Go help somebody move. Go help somebody. Maybe they're decorating their new house. Maybe they're cutting grass. Just go do stuff for other people. You might be tired at the end of the day. You might even be frustrated at dealing with someone new in recovery. Or
I'm going to mute. The dogs are freaking out.
yeah. Just a second. We got to get our dogs in. Howling like wolves.
We have some dogs that went kind of crazy.
Can you hear me?
Huh? Oh gosh, here we go with the technical difficulties.
The audio's all messed up. I don't know what's going on with it.
I don't know. The dogs were outside freaking out. Like they started like howling.
There we go.
So funny. If one starts howling, all of them will start howling. And then like you could hear them probably from like 3 states away.
One of the females is in heat, so the boys are just going crazy.
Yeah.
It's bad. Yeah.
Oh gosh, I have no idea where we left off. Whew.
Was I supposed to be talking during that time period? I didn't know if
Yeah.
I'm sitting here looking at my phone and I'm like, am I muted? Are we both muted?
You're grounded now, dude.
I just sat there in silence. These poor people sat there and listened to nothing. Me breathing.
Good job.
Yeah, I'll carry the show for you, honey. We were just talking about sponsorship and how sponsoring other people really helped our recovery. I think my sponsoring other people, that was when I really felt like I was a member of a 12-step community. That's what I really felt like I'm a part of. And they were letting me sponsor people when I had 6 months. Some people make their sponsees wait like a year, maybe even longer. Some people, they got to work all 12 steps. It's just different. And once again, we got to remember, there was a time period where if you had 3 days sober, you were sponsoring the guy with 2 days. And the guy with 2 days sponsors the guy with 1 day. And that's just how it worked. But I was blessed. They let me start. And even before I started like officially sponsoring people, I was taking people to treatment every day. Our phones rang off the hook of trying to get people into treatment. So that's where the buzz in recovery is for me. If you're looking for the buzz.
Oh gosh. Yeah. Right there.
Helping other people, and sometimes it's as simple as just me picking up the phone and listening to someone complain and whine. Sometimes I need to do that. I need to just listen, and be that guy that isn't there to have any opinion or tell someone what they should or shouldn't do. If they ask me, if they ask my experience, I'll tell them. But sometimes people need to just vent. And I've been on the other end of that, and I've been the guy venting. So I get both sides of it. But
Christy makes a great point. She said, I had a long, rough road. If I didn't have the people from YouTube, I don't know what I would have done. And there's a man in this community named True Helper, and he has helped quite a few people, and he's under fire right now. Some things have happened to him in his life, and they're trying to pick apart every single little thing with this man. And that's why this whole sponsoring topic came up and kind of hit close to my heart, or he's not a counselor, he shouldn't be doing this or shouldn't be doing that. Like, who wrote the rule book on what a sponsor is or what they can and cannot do?
Yeah, there's really not one.
Yeah. I don't know. Like I said, Brandon's been there for me when I didn't want. There was a time in my life when I didn't get along with women. I just didn't. I didn't want to go and, talk to women about my life and about what I had been going through. I felt more comfortable talking to Brandon or someone else, whatever. And I think that's everybody's right to, decide if they want to have a man sponsor them or a woman. It's a preference thing.
Yeah, our story's not unique. There's plenty of people who, met under the circumstances of someone being new in recovery, or a man trying to help a woman, or vice versa. Yeah, there's horror stories all over. That happens in church.
Mm-hmm.
That happens at the gas station. It happens everywhere. We've been very, very blessed to have a good experience, and thank God we both had pure motives.
Well, yeah, and let's throw this out there too. Back in the day, it was also said that 2 addicts could never make it as a couple. That two people that suffer from addiction could never be married. And that's just simply not true.
That comes out of treatment centers. That's not coming from a 12-step program.
Yes, Amber K, the 13th step can absolutely be fun. Brandon, the 13th
I'm staying out of it. I'm staying out of it. Hey, I woke up next to her and I said, I'll take your last name, if we can.
Okay,
Anyway,
let's simmer down.
yeah, it was
Oh,
worth it. It was worth it. But no, that wasn't why I was there. I was grateful that was a part of the part of the situation. But no, I that's not why I was there. And I actually told her that. It was suggested that I tell her that, like, I'm not just trying to get laid here. Like, you know, I love you. I like you. Like, I want to be with you.
yeah.
That's literally how it that's just
And I was
part of.
confused. I'm not going to lie, because I'm sitting there coming right out of treatment and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm an addict. What does this guy want with me? Like I felt really low about myself. And I mean, it worked. Everybody's stories are different. And like CC Ryder says, I guess sponsorship means different things to different people. It's a free country. And it is. We all have our own opinions and we all have our own stories when it comes to recovery or sponsors. And, there's not a whole lot of people out there that you're going to meet that get married, like a patient and a counselor. I mean, it's rare. It happens, but it doesn't happen a lot.
Right. But
It
there's
is.
tons of people that meet in a 12-step meeting and
Yeah.
get married. I know tons of them. I
Oh,
know
yeah.
tons of people that are married a long, long time, 30, 40 years, that met in a 12-step meeting. I also know people that it didn't work out. Ours worked out. I fell in love with a girl. She fell in love with
The night
me.
is young, Brandon.
Do what?
The night is young.
The night is young. Yeah, well,
The day is
yeah.
young. I'm just kidding with you. Sorry.
I can't even
I'm
hear
here
you.
trying to make jokes. Sorry.
What did you say?
Nothing. Let's move on.
I'll ask you later.
Oh, gosh.
I'm just grateful. I'm grateful that it worked for us. But once again, that's getting back into, an actual intimate relationship. And at the end of the day, sponsorship isn't always that. There are guys I sponsored that we're not real close. We don't hang out and go do this and that. I'm just their sponsor.
Right.
When they work the 12 steps, I'm the one that we go through the book together. And occasionally they call me and say, hey, I think I'm in some fear, or I've got this and that going on. And I pretty much tell them the same thing every time. Have you prayed about it? Have you written about it? Have you done meditation on it? It's the same answers. And guess where I got those answers for? I got those answers from my sponsor, who got those answers from his sponsor, and so forth.
And they was paying it forward to you.
Yeah.
And you pay it forward to your sponsees.
You got it. And that's how this thing stays alive. This thing has to stay alive because we are so blessed to getting sober in the time period we did. There was a time period where none of this existed.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking about the internet. I'm talking about 12-step programs, meetings, sponsorship. The word sponsor does not exist in the big book.
Right.
It didn't exist yet. They knew that when they helped other alcoholics and addicts, they felt better. They knew that they could sit with people and pray, do meditation, do writing. They knew all that, but it wasn't organized yet. It wasn't there wasn't a piece of paper to read directions on and go off of yet. They were just kind of winging it, and they found something that worked, a program that worked, and they passed it on to the rest of the world. And we're very blessed for that.
CC Ryder says, as a sponsor, I had to know my sponsor well enough to trust them.
Yeah. I've had great experience with. I've had a couple bad experiences with sponsors. I had a guy who was my sponsor that told people I worked with stuff that was on my 4-step. It's like one of the biggest no-nos in recovery, and I dealt with it appropriately. I've also had guys that I knew I could have called them at 3 a.m. and said, hey, I need help, and they'd be there. I liked having that security. I did. I never had to do that, but.
Well, you had a sponsor that you didn't really care for, and that's why you switched sponsors.
Yeah. I had a sponsor that started telling me his political views, and we got too close. He was telling me his personal views, his political views, and this guy ended up being a little bit racist when I really got to know him, and I had to do something. That's not me. He was honest, and I love this guy to death. He saved my life, but that's not what I'm into. I'm trying to get healthier. You could say I outgrew him spiritually, but I think we're just different people on different paths. That's all. If I see him today, I give him a big hug and say, I love you, brother. And he says, I love, he's a great guy. He just has some views on the world that I don't agree with. So, different strokes, different folks. In terms of trusting a sponsor, yeah, that's huge. Huge. Being able to trust somebody with my life secrets, or being able to trust somebody with what is going on in my life, or really
Well,
just trusting
I'm
them to be
grateful
there.
for your sponsor, because your sponsor said, okay, try it with me.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I'm very grateful
I
for that.
did not think he was going to say that. I did not think he was going to say that. I thought he was going to say, absolutely not. Don't do it.
But
She'll
you
steal
have
your
a lot of
TV.
time under your belt when it comes to sobriety. It's not like you was newly sober. It was me that was newly sober. And your
Yeah.
intentions were good. It's not like you was trying to do the 13th step with me.
You got it. You got
Yeah.
it. And that's a blessing. It was perfect timing. It just fell right into place, and I wouldn't change anything. It went the way it was supposed to go. Moving forward, this is a lifetime deal. I don't have all the answers. Sarah doesn't have all the answers. Neither does anyone else.
Christy,
I'm not
I
trying to
actually,
discredit
I won't.
anybody who's talking out there on YouTube. Go ahead. Go ahead, honey.
No, go ahead. I'm sorry. I was just going to tell Christy, I don't understand either when it comes to True Helper. I don't get it. It's sad that when somebody with good intentions comes into the community that is trying to help, how everything about them is being picked apart, and how, they're trying to find out his name, where he lives, what this happened or what that happened. Let's not think about all the good stuff he's done. Let's just pick him apart for what we think he's doing. That drives me insane.
Well, and plus you got a lot of people that walk the walk, and then you got people that just talk. They just talk the
Oh,
talk.
thank you, Next. Thank you.
They might not actually know much about what they're talking about. And plus, like, when people find out that you really do the things you say you do, like you really help people, you really sponsor people, that intimidates other people who aren't doing that stuff.
Yeah.
They just talk about it. They're intimidated. So they're going to say, all so-and-so's a fake, all they're a jerk, whatever, because they're insecure about their own stuff. If they were secure about their own stuff, they would be saying, you know what, well, at least he helped somebody and that's his business. Regardless of the situation, regardless of who is involved. That's my experience with it. I could be wrong about all of it. At the end of the day, I don't know True Helper real well, but Sarah's always said the best things about him. I've had small interaction with him, and I definitely got good vibes that he's about the right thing. I support him, 100%.
He wants to do a panel with you.
Yeah,
sometime.
right.
I think that would be great, because I think you both, do have a lot of knowledge when it comes to the recovery world. And that's an awesome thing to share with people, to the ones that are interested in it,
Absolutely.
And it kind of upsets me when people sit there and say, well, they shouldn't be talking about recovery. This place isn't for recovery. It's YouTube. We can talk about whatever we want. And
Absolutely.
if you don't like it, log off. Don't watch. Jeez.
Yeah. That's kind of the point right now. People don't know where to go. You can't just drive. There's a 12-step meeting right down the street from our house tonight. It's not there. They're closed. I mean, it's not them. It's the church is saying, hey, we can't have anyone in here after hours due to the pandemic. So there are some small groups that are trying to invite people over. Like I said, I've been to some invitation-only meetings. I'm kind of done doing that. But, I'm going to have to start looking more on the internet for getting myself fed.
Oh.
Now, that doesn't mean I go to a 12-step meeting. It might mean, I watch a documentary, or I try to look for positive things, maybe a lecture on spirituality, whatever. It's trying to find things that enrich my program.
See, this comment right here might get me into a little trouble, but I'm all in. Okay, Home Mycology asks, thoughts on psilocybin to get off alcohol? I've watched many, many people change their life in 6 hours. Just saying. What's your thoughts on that? And then I'll give mine.
Okay. Yeah. Psilocybin, ibogaine, DMT, ayahuasca. I have never used them. I have never taken those chemicals with the intent of having a spiritual breakthrough. I took them when I was like 14, 15 years old, and I was trying to trip balls and listen to Pink Floyd and drink orange juice.
Truthful.
Honestly, that's what I was trying to do.
Right.
Now, knowing what we know now and seeing the success that other people have had, there is a revolution in the psychedelic market with psilocybin, ayahuasca, DMT, of people that are taking these substances and having spiritual breakthroughs.
Yes.
One of the big questions that people always ask is, why did Bill Wilson take LSD in the 60s? That's one of those, Bill W., the founder of AA. That's one of those real controversial things. What happened was, in terms of information I've got through their history books and people I've talked to, is they knew that there was something special with LSD as a compound that helped people get to the spiritual realm in a faster pace. He was a person who was a part of a spiritual movement. They offered it to him to try to see if it could enrich someone's program and get them to the spiritual life faster. I've got a number of friends who had drug problems, alcohol problems. They've been to jail, violence, whatever. They ate a bag of mushrooms, and by the following morning, they were a born-again Christian.
Yep. A spiritual awakening.
They had a spiritual breakthrough due to psilocybin mushrooms. I haven't done it in that sense, like I said, in trying to have a spiritual breakthrough, so I can't say from my experience. But I get it. I see where that's possible. Definitely. I've taken enough mushrooms and you name it, trying to get high to see where it could take you. And maybe one day I'll try it. I don't know. Not anytime soon. But if it's working for people, and especially with people with post-traumatic stress disorder, they're seeing great success there. It's starting to be talked about locally where we live, which is amazing. But once again, if it works, do it. You know, in terms of getting off alcohol, if it works, do it.
Well,
you know?
let's go way back in history. There was not a stigmata on psilocybin. You know, it wasn't illegal. It's just recently become illegal. And so therefore the governments in the past would say, well, that's a drug that can do this, this, and this. But back in the day, they actually used it as medicine and it was legal.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Peyote was legal. Heroin was legal. Now, heroin can like really harm you. So, yeah.
Well, I think because there's not a huge addiction, there's not a huge opportunity for addiction there with psilocybin. Usually once people take enough of that chemical, they have their experience and then they don't want to do it again for a while. You know, it's not something that they like get when they come off of the mushrooms. They're not like, oh, I can't wait to do that again. They're like, wow, that was amazing, but I think I need to wait before I do it again. That's just what I've seen in other people. But I think that's a big part of it. There's not a huge addictive property to it.
Right. You just said everything I was thinking, so I don't really need to add on to that. But you're absolutely right. I mean, I know people that have become better people because they did have that spiritual breakthrough. So,
yeah, it's key. It's part of the deal, you know, when we're, you know, alcohol and drugs was my higher power for years. I turned my will and life over to painkillers and whiskey when I was 15, 16 years old. And I was willing to give up anything for a buzz.
Yeah.
And when it was time, when the drugs and alcohol stopped working, when they weren't treating the same things that I used them for when I was 15 or 16, when I was in my early 20s, and I had to commit crimes to get these chemicals, when the party was over, I had to find a new higher power. Or I was going to die. It was real simple. Either I find a new higher power, try to have a spiritual experience through and with that higher power, or funeral home. The choice is mine. Now, I don't know if it was completely up to choices. You know, I think I, like a lot of people, was prayed into recovery. I got a praying mother, so that's part of it. But
hey, Brooke, how are you?
That's the deal.
Yeah, there's a lot of different opinions on, you know, plant-based medicines. You know, some people consider them drugs, others don't. Anything that's plant-based, I don't consider it a drug. And that's just my opinion. That's my experience. You know, a lot of people disagree with me on that. Home mycology, I'd love to do a panel with you sometime on that. I really would. And I know Brandon would too, because, you know, those kind of things are interesting to him. He might not, you know, use those things in the present, but he has in the past. So, he's kind
Oh, I'm
of,
very interested. Very
yeah,
interested. It's one of my favorite topics. Anything to do with chemicals,
yeah.
and chemicals that are going to kind of alter our experience in life. I'm very interested in. I can tell you some stuff that didn't work for me. I can tell you some stuff that caused me a lot of harm. But there's also chemicals that changed my life. Psilocybin's one of them. That, like I said, that wasn't my intent going in, but it definitely changed my life. I was a different person.
Oh, me
Um,
too. Absolutely. I think it
and
changed me into a better person, and it just did.
absolutely, absolutely. And there's a lot of people that can say that with a straight face, no problem.
Hmm.
So yeah, if it works, it works.
I'm not presently using any of those at the moment, but I don't see anything wrong with them. You can't get addicted to psilocybin. You just can't. You're not going to see someone take it every single day. Now, they might microdose, and that's different, but it helps people with depression. It helps people that have contemplated suicide. It's literally helped them. So I don't see it as a bad thing.
Yeah, absolutely. I've never, ever, ever, in all my years of in and out of rehab, of working in rehab, of going to meetings, I have never seen someone come to a meeting, come to a treatment center that was addicted to those things, ever.
Oh, Amber, I've seen it do some crazy stuff too. Whew. Oh gosh. That's another story for another day. It's probably taken me to different dimensions. I'm sorry, Brooke. Some days I get like that too. My depression just gets out of control. And I'm one of those people that when my depression kicks in, I turn into a loner, kind of like I push everyone away. I don't, uh-oh. You okay, Brandon?
Yeah, I'm just trying to get dogs in.
Oh, well then.
Yeah, we're good.
Yeah, well, like you said earlier, we have one dog that's in heat right now. So the dogs have been going kind of crazy, and we're trying to keep them separated. So it's been kind of hectic. But I
Part
love
of
you.
the deal, part of having poodles.
I love you so much, Brooke. I'm sorry that you're struggling with that. Um, Depression's really, it affects so many people in so many different ways. You know, um, I wish recovery had been around like when my mom died. Um, I wish there was the kind of help there is today back then, because maybe she'd still be here today. And so when I hear people say that, oh, you can't get a sponsor on YouTube or online, that just it really kind of stings, because I'm sitting there thinking, well, maybe if that was available back then, maybe she could be here today. Maybe if she would have talked to someone online back then, if there would have been an online, she could have possibly been here today. Who knows? I don't know. It's just a thought.
No, I'm with you 100%. I think depression's it's real, you know. Um I've seen depression do things to people that I just can't imagine.
Oh gosh, yeah.
Um I've got friends and I guess I didn't I thought it was real, but I thought it was more drug induced. Like, oh, you're depressed because you're not doing your program right, or you're depressed because this part of your life's all screwed up and you need to change that. That's really not the case. People get depressed due to brain chemistry. They get
Right.
depressed due to the seasons changing, the time of the year. And phew, it's a difficult thing, you
It's so
know.
hard to keep under control too. There was a time that I would see like a Mother's Day commercial, and it would like completely wreck a whole month for me because it would depress me. Like, depression is something that is everyday reality for some people, and I don't know, it just really sucks. And then when you mix addiction in with that, oh boy.
Yeah, it's not a good formula.
No, not at all. Is it still considered a dual diagnosis?
It's called co-occurring disorder now. They change the name all the time. It just means that on top of addiction, depression is occurring, and sometimes that's hard for them to define because most people that walk into a treatment center day one could qualify or meet the criteria for a depression diagnosis.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot due to insurance, a lot of people get diagnosed with, chemical dependency and depression because of how insurance is billed. The best thing to do there is just get reassessed for mental health at 3 months sober, 6 months sober, a year sober, because your diagnosis will change. I'm
Yep.
pretty sure I was diagnosed with, whatever type of depression when I was, day one getting sober. But I've been really blessed. Like I've said in the past, a lot of things in recovery have gone my way. I'm not a person who's had a lot of difficulty. And I've seen my friends go through stuff that I can't imagine. I've
Yep.
got buddies that lost children. I've got buddies that lost families sober, you know, and God bless them. I can't imagine. And all I know is that one of the things I try to do the best I can whenever my mind starts complaining, whenever my mind starts saying, what's the point, is I just kind of look at my own story and look at where I'm at today. And I might not be where I want to be, but I'm not back there anymore. I'm not in that place where I couldn't even get 10 minutes sober. I'm not in a place where I thought about dying every day because that's all I had to look forward to in addiction was death. I'd already been to jail, already been to rehab. I've hit your jails and institutions. I've got one left. And, that's, I think a lot of junkies, a lot of people that smoke crack, do meth, that's the hit they're looking for, ultimately. I think shooting heroin is attempted suicide on a daily basis.
I've been there. So, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
it's insane for someone that's in active addiction to call a dope dealer up and say, hey, can you give me that same stuff that made that guy overdose?
Can
I
you
have
help kill
literally
me?
done that.
Right.
And that is so insane to think about now, being sober as long as I have. Oh gosh, I don't know how I did that or why I even did that, because it's insane thinking now.
Yeah. It feels like a different person, doesn't it?
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Like if I see a needle now, I cringe. Like if I have to go get blood drawn, I'm like, oh, I don't want to do this.
Right.
And yeah, time heals old wounds. I mean, it doesn't go away, but it, sobriety does heal people, and recovery is possible for people. Brooke said something. I want to go back up to that real quick. She said, yeah, because you could grab a pill or a drink or whatever and make it feel better.
Yeah.
Even if it's just for a moment. And that's
Yeah.
so true. Like when I was in some deep depression, I would take a Vicodin just to get that feeling of euphoria just for however long, because it did make me feel better.
I had an experience a couple weeks. I didn't even tell you this. And it's not a big deal. It's just something I saw. I think it's probably like 3 weeks ago, maybe a month ago. We have a little smoke shop over by our house that sells cigarettes and rolling papers and all that. And sometimes if I'm in a hurry, I'll get my cigarettes over there. And next door is a liquor store. And I forget what I had to do that day, but I went there real early, like right when they opened, like 9 in the morning. And there was a line coming out of the door at the liquor store, 9 in the morning. And this guy was in line with me. He was in front of me at the smoke shop getting cigarettes, and he was in fatigues. There's a base near our house, so he was probably going to work. And he got some cigarettes, and as he walked past me, I saw that he had a brown bag. He had a bottle of something along with those cigarettes. So he'd already been to the liquor store. He was now getting his cigarettes and heading out the door. And I think they sell cigarettes at the liquor store, but they're more expensive if I remember correctly. So a lot of people just go right next door and get their cigarettes. But so by the time I get out to my car, I'm sitting there and I'm trying to figure out what radio station or whatever YouTube I'm going to be listening to while I'm driving. And I looked up, and the guy in fatigues in a nice car has this bottle up in the ceiling of his car, drinking it straight up.
Oh gosh.
And he brings the bottle down and he breathes out a sigh of relief. Just a moment. Just for one moment, he felt better. I could tell by this guy's body language that that's what he was looking for, was a sense of relief. Now, I don't know that guy's troubles on a daily basis. Obviously, if he's drinking before work to go to the base, things probably aren't the best. But yeah, when she said that about just a moment of relief,
Mm-hmm.
I understand that completely. And I got to see that. I got to be reminded of that the other day, a few weeks back. That was always the goal. You know, I just got to get this thing in my head to stop moving. This thing that tells me that I'm a piece of crap, that tells me that my life's not worth anything. I'll never be anything. Look at all the trouble I've caused. Just drink, just use. And I listened to that voice for a lot of years because that was the only voice that existed. There wasn't a voice of reason anymore that said, hey, we should get help or we should go to a meeting. I had to find that voice through, well, to be honest, being locked up. But yeah, it's what we were all looking for, is that moment of relief. That moment of relief exists in recovery. The same feeling of, whew, everything's okay. We're going to make it. I feel better. All of that exists in recovery as well. You just got to chase it and you got to find it for yourself. For me, it's been with sponsoring other men and trying to help get them where they need to be in their program, helping other people go into treatment, male or female, didn't matter, to try to get people to the right place, you know, to give what was so freely given to me. And I do that for free and for fun on my own time. I don't charge people to do it. When my phone rings, I try to pick it up and say, yeah, what can I do to help you? You know, how can I help? The highest you can get in life is servant. That's the highest mark you can get. Sounds crazy, right?
Keep talking. I got to mess with the dogs real quick.
Do it. I believe that the highest we can get is servant, to be a service to others, to make sure their needs are met. For a lot of reasons. The main one being that the miracle of self-centered Brandon Pittman is doing something for someone else off the top. That's the big one right away. The second part would be that maybe someone else's life can change. Maybe someone else's life can improve. This recovery thing can never be all about me. You know, most of my life was all about trying to make me feel good. And a lot of those things stopped working over the years, especially drugs and alcohol. They just stopped working. I've shot enough dope, smoked enough crack, ate enough pills, drank enough whiskey, as much as anybody else. And I got to a point where that had no effect on me. My brain the voice that said, like that guy breathing out that sigh of relief, that was gone. There was no more sigh of relief. As soon as I would put a needle in my arm, I was just worried about being sick and worried about where my next fix was coming from. If it was alcohol, I never had enough. Until I'm, comatose on the floor. And if I'm mixing heroin and alcohol, well, I'm barely hanging on. Lungs and heart just barely moving. So if anyone out there is listening to this and they're looking for the buzz in recovery, if they're trying to find a way to feel better, if they're into some depression, they're not feeling right, try to find a way to do something for someone else. Try to find a way to be a service to be a servant to someone. Try to improve someone's day, regardless of what you think of that person, regardless of what impact it could have on you. Just do it. Maybe it's giving somebody a ride down the street. Maybe it's lending a buddy $5. Maybe it's giving a guy on the corner a cheeseburger. Whatever. Find something that you can do for someone else, and I guarantee you'll feel better. If that doesn't work, come back here and tell me about it. We'll try to find something that does. Because it's worked for everybody I know.
Yeah. Your little dog is in trouble, by the way.
Which one?
That would be a little Leia.
What food did she get into?
Well, did you possibly have a bag of trash with a chocolate milk carton in the dining room?
It would have been in the bag of the empty dog food bag.
Well, little Miss Leia got a hold of it, and now it's all torn to shreds underneath my dining room table on top of the white carpet, which is no longer white.
She's smart. I've always felt she's such a smart dog.
You're in trouble.
But she's highly intelligent. You got to respect that. Trouble. That's fine.
You are in trouble, buddy.
I'll clean it up.
Mm-hmm.
Eventually. Later. Later.
I'm going to take a picture of it. I swear I might even make a thumbnail. You should see what it looks like underneath that dining room table right now. Oh boy, what a day.
You,
Awful.
you like this topic, Sarah? You like talking about sponsorship and helping people, and
I do.
yeah, it's a
And
good one.
yeah, I mean, I really think we should go live more often and just talk about recovery. I know that it's not everybody's forte, but it's something that we like talking about because,
Yeah,
we live it, we've lived it, and it means something to us, And if people don't want to listen, they don't have to.
yeah. There's plenty of options out there of other stuff to listen to. That's the beauty of it.
Yeah, it really is. And honestly, talking about it makes me feel better
Hmm.
sometimes.
Absolutely. Once
Like,
again, that's where the buzz is. You
yeah.
know.
Ryan, I'm sorry. I'm not going to do a link right now. Not this live. I think we're actually going to end it here in a few. Someone's got some cleaning to do.
Oh God. Yeah, I guess. I guess.
Christy, thank you for being here. I'm so proud of everything you've gone through lately. Like, you've really come a long way, and I'm so proud of you for that. And, there's people in your life that have um, showed you how to get there. But you couldn't have done it if it wasn't for you. But you took the first steps. And I'm so proud of you for that.
Yeah. Congratulations. Welcome to
Home,
the family.
yeah. Home Mycology says, I donate a massive portion of my YouTube earnings to the vets and psychedelic studies. I love Hopkins and what Dr. Griffith is doing. Yeah.
Yeah, it's incredible. It is incredible. I'm just glad they're trying. They're actually trying something because for years they just talk about it. Well, we should try this. We should try that. And don't get me wrong. There's plenty of places that have been trying different therapies all along, but where I come from, it was just something that people talked about. Now that it's actually we're doing something and seeing results,
And it's
it's a
working.
miracle.
It
It's
is
a
a miracle
miracle.
because it's
Yeah.
working. There's people alive today because of those studies. And at the end of the day, that's what matters. People are off of certain drugs today because they did take a chance with psychedelics or whatever else, even kratom. They took a chance with it and it's helped them. I don't know. I think I'm going to have to jump off here though. It's already been an hour and I was already live once today.
Thank you, everybody, for listening. Thank you for asking questions. Thank you for everything. You guys have something special here. I've said it before, I'll say it again. Y'all have something special here. This doesn't, like, I've been to meetings online and conversations online. It's not like this. You guys really do a great job of looking out for each other and trying to make sure that if somebody's struggling, you're there for them. God bless you. Thank you so much. And thank you for putting up with my crazy wife. It keeps her off my back for about an hour here and there. So I really appreciate that. But no, in all
Mine's crazy.
seriousness, thank you for being here. I love you. We love you. Thank you so much for listening.
Yeah, thank you guys. I really appreciate all you guys that do come here to listen and give Brandon and I the benefit of the doubt. And I think you guys are great, and I'm grateful for all of you. Um, Thank you, Mrs. Michelle. She says, your husband is a great co-host.
Oh,
Yeah,
thank you.
he is sometimes.
Sometimes I am the host.
But Twanda says, I love your crazy wife to pieces. Well, Twanda, I love you more than I could ever explain. You are such a gift to me, and I truly mean that. And I'm grateful for you. So, with all that being said, I'm going to jump off here and go clean the dining room.
Thanks, honey.
Yeah. I
Be
hope you
safe
guys
out there.
yeah, have a great weekend, and I'll catch you around the tubes.
Later.
Bye, you guys.